and welcome. We're glad you're here and we're glad you decided to learn more about the Linden School through the Our Kids Roundtable. My name is Jean Geary and I've led admissions at Linden since 2016, but I've been part of the Linden community since 2007 when my daughter Monica joined Linden as a grade 8 student and she graduated in 2012. So here today to share their experiences of Linden with you are Raha Mahmoodi. Raha joined Linden in grade 7 and she graduated with the class of 2011. After graduating from Linden, she achieved a Bachelor of Science and Public Health from the University of Waterloo, and she's currently pursuing a Master's in Public Health at McMaster University. Raha is actively involved in ensuring equitable access to health through her studies, her internships, and her volunteer work. Also joining us today is Madigan Crozier. Madigan is a more recent graduate. She graduated with the class of 2021 this past June. Before joining Linden in grade 11, Madigan attended Riverdale Collegiate in Toronto for grades 9 and 10. And she is currently getting ready to move to Guelph, where she will attend the University of Guelph to study neuroscience. And finally, we are joined by Tara Silver, our new principal. I say new, but in fact, we are welcoming Tara back to Linden. She taught here for a number of years and also served as Linden's guidance counselor. She led admissions and she was interim principal. And her daughter Leah attended for 7 years, so she's also a Linden parent. Tara holds a master's degree in women and gender studies, and she is engaged in doctoral research. She has worked in the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors of education, and we are excited to benefit from her unique combination of management skills, teaching experience, and her connection to cutting-edge research. So with that, I will get started with a question for Tara. Tara, could you tell us about Linden and what makes it unique, and maybe speak to the reason why you chose the school for Leah originally?
Well, my connection to Linden goes back decades. So when I was a graduate student in women and gender studies, my focus was women in education. And I learned that Linden, this fledgling school in Midtown Toronto, had a lot of respect, even in its earliest days, from professors of education. Many of their daughters were attending the school, and that led to my curiosity. And I thought, if I ever have a daughter, I'm going to send her to this school. So for me, what makes Linden really unique is the emphasis on holistic education for girls and its socially progressive vision of education. So by holistic, I mean, we emphasize the social and emotional aspects of learning, of friendship, of positive relationships with older students, mentorship, all the stuff that, really we're talking about much more now. But even in the 90s, this was very, very cutting edge. And then the other piece of it, the social progressive aspect of Linden, what we mean by that is that the world is changing rapidly. We are a more diverse society. We have a level of gender diversity, fluidity. We have a vocal group of LGBT families within the school. It's very important. They've always been very important to the school. In addition, the school has always had a strong anti-racist component. And so our values of equity and diversity were very much at the forefront. It's been integral to our school culture, and many other schools are just starting those conversations now. So it's a real honor to be part of this community. And those are the exact reasons I chose this for my daughter.
Thank you, Tara. Madigan, having experienced two very, very different schools, Linden and then a much larger school, could you talk about what differentiates Linden from other schools?
Yeah, so definitely I would say the size is kind of the first thing that everybody notices. Meaning that there's a different ratio between teachers and students. So, a lot of the classes, you have more time with a teacher who has tailored the education to you because they have that ability. They can work with you more one-on-one. just simply because of the size. Another thing that is quite different is the fact that Linden, their education is female focused. So whether you're learning in history or English or science, you learn a lot more about female discoveries, and, you know, milestones for female scientists and female historians, which is really nice. It's really nice to be able to, you know, learn about role models and about, you know, amazing women. Um, Also the emotional environment that is at Linden. So whether that is, you know, emotional connections between teachers and other students or faculty staff, but also the emotional support that Linden provides. So whether that's, you know, during test taking, if you need a little bit more support around pressure, or you're just having a rough week, um, or just a rough hour, you know, Linden is there and they make the appropriate accommodations depending on what you need. And there's also the fact that Linden, because it is in a house, it doesn't feel like an institution. It feels, you know, more comfy. It doesn't feel like you're necessarily at home. So you're still able to get the work done and, you know, not lounge around, but it's definitely more cozy. You know, the library is an amazing place to kind of be with your friends and get some work done, but also lounge around and be comfortable. Um, and so I think that that was really important, was you know, you walk in and you immediately feel safe. You immediately feel a connection to your physical environment. I think the biggest thing for me, especially leaving Linden now, is realizing how different the education around social justice and current world issues is. I kind of came to Linden not being particularly educated on what was going on in the world, whether that was politics, you know, the BIPOC community, just basically the most important things that are going on in the 21st century. Whereas I'm leaving Linden, being able to educate my family, my peers, have deep conversations with teachers that taught me at Linden, or, you know, students that went to Linden. So now I feel like I can raise awareness and be educated so that I'm not spreading any false information. And it's really, it almost like it empowers me to be able to educate other people on these current world issues, and to know about them. Finally, I would just say that the close relationship between students and teachers is really nice. You know, you feel a deeper connection. You feel, you know, you're getting a better education because of it.
Thanks so much, Madigan. That's wonderful. Tara, what do you think families would find most surprising about Linden?
I think that they would find the strength of our athletics program quite surprising, because you look at our small school and you, I think, immediately get a sense that it's nurturing, it's supportive, it's cozy, all the things that Madigan and Raha both know so well. But we are awesome athletes as well. And I think one of the most exceptional things is about the school is the teachers, or the lead phys ed teachers. They also have this holistic view of girls' wellness. And they also encourage that risk taking. We have a no tryouts policy, which means that we don't break up our school population into these elite athletes that get all the attention, and then the students who didn't make the cut on the team who are heartbroken. If you want to play and you have a good attitude, you are encouraged to join. And I cannot emphasize enough how important that is for student well-being. Lots of research supports that, and it develops a sense of camaraderie, communication, lots and lots of good things. And if you're a solo sport person, we have things like ski trips, and you know, we're hoping to start a hiking club. So things for students that, you know, if team sports aren't your thing, that's okay. Just be active. And I think that that's one of the most surprising things about the school.
My daughter would definitely agree with you on that. She really found her inner athlete at Linden and developed a lifelong love of fitness. Raha, what would you say people would find surprising about Linden?
I get asked the question about transitioning to university a lot, and I think I can speak to that and like what surprised people, what surprised me. Yeah, because when I still share my university experience, and people hear my graduating class was 14 compared to their hundreds, they're fairly shocked. So I had a very positive experience transitioning from Linden in grade 12 to first year university. And what comes to mind specifically is that I was comfortable sitting at the front of the class. I did wait in the back for a little bit, and then I realized, you know what, that's not for me. There's a lot going on, and in Linden, just the way the classrooms are set up, you are always at the front, and I missed that, so I went right back up to the front. I enjoyed that. I was comfortable going to office hours, asking professors questions, and I noticed that that was all really critical for my own learning process, and that was nurtured at Linden, and I continued to foster that. I felt very prepared for my science courses. As was mentioned, I was in life sciences, biomedical sciences, and biology, chemistry, physics. I felt so prepared for them. Some units, I was like, whoa, I already learned that at Linden. Experiments and like labs were also a really huge part of my first year as well. And I felt really prepared to do those experiments and to do the write-ups and reports that were also needed, thanks to Biljana and Amy, who were both my science teachers at the time. I think they're all still there. And on top of that, I think I really didn't know what to expect going into university. And I valued that having taken 7 courses at Linden all the way from September to June, I found out that was a surprise and a shock to many of my friends whose schools were semestered for high school. I was able to manage a course load of five whole courses and 3 labs. And I really appreciated that. And that transition was pretty smooth for me as well. Yeah, I think I had a unique experience. I didn't know anybody when I went to Waterloo. My parents dropped me off nice and early. I was left on my own devices at like 8 a.m. in residence, not knowing a soul, but I had no hesitation joining clubs and like immersing myself in the social life and the community campus life. And I think that that was also fostered at Linden to just, go out and like do what resonates with you and to connect with your family, community. And yeah, I also was able to reconnect with an old Linden friend at university, which was a nice connecting point as well. So that's what comes to mind for that successful transition.
Thank you. Raha, I'm going to call on you again. What did you appreciate most about the school during your time here? And how has your perspective on that changed now that you have 10 years of distance from the school? Is there anything that you didn't realize at the time that was valuable that with perspective, you've come to appreciate more?
Yeah, so when I was at Linden at the time, I remember just loving, as has been shared with Madigan and Tara already, I really loved how small and tight-knit the community was. I knew everyone's name all the way from grade 1 to grade 12. I could have conversations with the primary school teachers in the hallways during recess, after school. And I wasn't a primary school like student, you know what I mean? Like there was just such a huge sense of community in that way. At the time, I think Linden has some really unique opportunities. And for me, that was the steel pen program. I learned how to play a new instrument. I joined that club like whenever you join clubs, like the first week or whatever. I learned how to play that. And I loved it so much that I ended up joining another community outside of school of steel pan. So that was really, really, really impactful for me, I think, very meaningful. I really felt that the teachers cared about me and my peers. That has been shared already, but like whether that was just the jokes we were making, the inside jokes, the topics that were talked about in class, teachers being able to tailor the content because they knew their students, or just the extra support that was provided. I really benefited from that in a few of my courses. I just really felt heard and seen. And with some distance, that 10-year distance, I think I really, really, really appreciate that community aspect that was fostered, but Also, the social justice foundations and feminist pedagogy that was instilled in Linden. I also didn't realize what a difference it is outside of Linden. I think about the topics that we tackled, and in the sense of community, I think about All School, which is like a weekly assembly of sorts where the entire school does an activity, and the emphasis on, you know, the primary school engaging with the middle school and the high school. Like we're all together, we're all engaged and participating and one. And I haven't seen that sort of intergenerational or like inter-peer environment as much outside of that. And I think that's really critical. So yeah, I think the social justice foundations that I also mentioned that were instilled have led me towards public health. And I value them very much.
Thank you. Tara, how would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community?
Well, I think both Raha and Madigan have spoken so eloquently to the values. I feel like I can, in some ways only reinforce what they've said, but I will say that certainly our commitment to a socially progressive vision of education is very, very important. I think it's quite unique. And what I mean by that is we don't hold on to tradition just for the sake of tradition. We don't have a uniform. We don't have a very hierarchical student governance structure. Everyone has the potential to be a leader, and we will support you as adults in finding that leadership voice that you want to have in the school or in the broader community. So the other values I think that you both really touched on so well is, I think the most important thing is community. We know how important that is for mental health at any age, whether you're an elder or you are a young JK student, feeling connected to others. And I think the pandemic has only heightened our awareness of that, the importance of connection. And I'm so proud of this community and how everyone's pulled together through this crisis, but even long before this. And we will continue to go on and be that kind of community. So I think the values of community and inclusion are so central to this school, and it makes it absolutely unique in the Toronto school landscape, I think.
Thank you. That kind of leads into the next question. What are the most pressing issues for young women today? And how is Linden addressing them, or how did Linden address them or prepare you to address them?
Yeah, I think from a public health perspective, I think there are many health inequities facing young women today. In my circles, like what we talk about a lot is climate change. I know that's on everybody's mind. The wage gap as well is still something that we chat about, and poor child and maternal outcomes. So like many topics, but I think beyond that, taking a step back from all the topics, and regardless of the issue, bringing an intersectional lens to the discussion is really important, so that we really understand how the layers of identity really impact women differently. For instance, racialized women in low socioeconomic conditions, under those low socioeconomic statuses, are often disadvantaged. And answering the second part of your question about Linden and how that they prepared that, or helped me address that, I think, again, the social justice lens that Linden takes, that feminist pedagogy, really helped raise awareness for me, and instill that at a young age so that I'm able to think critically about things. And they also equip me to feel comfortable, to be a knowledgeable advocate on such critical issues. And when I don't know, I'm always interested in learning and finding out more. So I'll share that much.
Thank you. Tara, what do you think?
Wow, I feel, these young women here are so articulate. I feel like I can barely add to it, but I would say that, building on, again, what Raha is saying, I think that one of the most pressing things that I can see for young women is really that workplaces have not changed enough for women. I think there is still a long way to go. And this takes us back, again, as Raha is saying, to the foundational elements of feminism. There's still work to be done in that front. We still have issues with harassment, as we can see almost daily in the news. So, I think that Linden is a great starting point for young women to sort of be aware of those issues and to feel empowered to make changes and also to build alliances. We need everyone to be working on this issue, whether it's universal childcare or it's more safety amongst coworkers in the workplace, particularly for young women who need mentorship. But you can't have that unless you feel safe in a workplace. So I think that a very important issue is that we've got to make workplaces better for women, particularly in those fields that are still male dominated. So there's a whole range of issues, of course, but I think that's one that I see quite a bit, where we feel like, wow, we're still working on this as feminists. Like we can do better for this next generation. So I would say that's a big one.
Thank you. Madigan, for students who are just entering Linden, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so as mentioned before, the athletic program at Linden is amazing. I came to Linden as I was a very competitive ice hockey player outside of school. And so coming to Linden and hearing that the policy was a no tryout policy, I was, I can't lie, I was a little not excited about that. But then coming to Linden and just being able to sign up for any team, first week I signed up for ultimate frisbee, and that's really where I made a lot of friends. I was able to, we'd go to the park twice a week and we'd just learn some ultimate frisbee, and it was competitive. It was, you were out there, you were working really hard. And so I would say to get involved with athletics, definitely, because that's where you get to, hang out with friends outside of school. And so that would probably be my one biggest piece of advice. And I guess just to speak up in class. So whether it's that you don't understand something and a teacher's asking you, does anybody have any questions? You can even just be like, I fully don't understand this. Or whether it's just to make a joke, in the middle of a lecture. Or if you come in one morning, and there's something that's been on your mind, especially social justice stuff or current world issues, if you walk in and you say, hey, I saw this on the news last night. What was this? Can we talk about it? Can we, is there anything that that I don't know? Or what's a different perspective on this? I know that all of the teachers at Linden are incredibly educated on the current world issues and what's been going on. I feel like they know everything. And so just walking in and asking questions about, your education or what's going on. But I would say that it's not all put on you. It's not all put on to the new student. The first day that I arrived, I had my classmates just kind of walk up to me and welcome me. And then we just hung out for the rest of the day. And I felt like I had just met my lifelong friends. And so it's definitely like the people at Linden are incredibly welcoming, and they make it easy for you.
That's really lovely. And that certainly, again, echoes my daughter's experience. And, I just wanted to pick up on something that you said about athletics and, just the Linden difference. Our athletics director, Deidre McPherson, is the recipient of the Prime Minister's Award of Excellence in Teaching. She's one of two award recipients that we have at our small school, which is quite remarkable. But it's true, a lot of people initially perceive that because our athletics program is so inclusive and welcoming that we can't possibly be good, right? But the opposite is true, and I think, certainly my daughter when she came, she was encouraged to join teams where, she hadn't always made teams at her old school. And, the fear of missing the shot, on her other teams, I think, if you got past the ball and you weren't entirely confident in your abilities, you might not shoot. You might pass it to the team superstar to make sure the point was scored because you were afraid of being the scapegoat. But at Linden, everyone's saying, shoot, go for it, and encouraging you to try. And the more you try, the better you get. So the last year we were able to compete in the Small School Athletic Federation. We actually won 5 banners, and there are 65 schools in the league. So that's quite an impressive achievement for us. And we hope we'll be back to that again soon. So I just wanted to add that. In my next question, so in my work in admissions, I meet a lot of families who are curious about the school, and many of them decide to apply to the school. And one thing that saddens me a little bit is that I often hear from girls who are very young, but they've already internalized very strong beliefs about their weaknesses and limitations. So I hear things like, I'm not good at math. I'm not an athlete. Science doesn't like me. I can't draw. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I think Linden is a wonderful place and has a wonderful gift for encouraging students to revisit these perceived limitations. And they often discover strengths and passions that they didn't know they had. Raha, I think you had an experience like this. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. For me, I was actually a math and science student coming into Linden from grade 7. And that stayed with me. I took all 3 sciences in grade 11 and 12, 2 maths. And that's just to say that while the math and science was strong for me, it's like the English that I was like, no, please no. So yeah, English wasn't my strong suit, especially in high school when we're starting to do essays. We're starting to read texts and having to dissect them, coming up with stuff like persuasive arguments and really dissecting those themes, and the use of language in the text was the last thing I wanted to do. Again, just give me those numbers, give me those formulas, and I will be fine. But the English teacher at the time that I had in Leiden, she helped me so much strengthen my critical analysis, in English, those essay writing skills. She helped me improve my writing so much. She took the time to review 3 drafts before the final. We would meet after class, we would meet during lunch, just so much time and guidance was taken to help me strengthen that skill in that course. And by the end of grade 12, I was so proud of myself for my progress. I think in university, again, I was in a science program, I was in public health as well. And I slipped back into the comfort of math and science for me until I had to take an English course to be able to complete my requirements for my degree. And again, a little bit of dread came upon me. I had slipped back into, all the physics, bios, chems. But I took a creative writing course, and I was really surprised when my professor suggested that I publish my work. That was very shocking to me. And I think just a good reflection of the foundations that Linden instilled in me in supporting that English and helping me find my voice in my writing, which I didn't think that I had. And even the cherry on top, I guess to say, is that my professor in that creative writing course asked if she could submit my writing to the department awards, and it actually ended up winning something. So I think Linden really fosters anything that you want it to.
Tara,
Great.
how do they do it? What's the secret sauce that the teachers use to kind of help these girls to re-examine these beliefs and find new passions?
I think it really is supporting each individual student, which you can only do in a small school environment. When you have an average class size of around 10 students, each student is really seen and valued. And I think you get, as much time with your, STEM teachers as you do with your English teachers. And, if it feels like, that you want to do a science fiction novel, let's say, for novel study, they will support you in that. There aren't a lot of preconceived ideas. Of course, we follow the Ontario curriculum. That is what, structures our learning day to day. But within that, there is a lot of room for flexibility and creativity. And I think that that's a big piece of it. It's the creativity, and that we don't limit our students to being, okay, you're a math student and you're an arts student. Our students, like similarly with the athletics, we try and get students to really explore the full range of who they are as learners. Whatever you decide to do career-wise, maybe you want to join drama club, try that, which is what my daughter greatly benefited from, the kind of teamwork and collaborative vision of getting a play pulled together. It's similar in many ways to what Raha is saying, though my daughter is now a computer science major. Her love of theater continues. And I know she'll look back at those years and know that a certain kind of seed was planted. So it's, I think that that's a big piece of it, is really valuing the individual.
Could you tell me, Tara, about the biggest impact that Linden has had on Leah?
It's a tough one. And I was chatting with her about this. And, obviously we have different perspectives. A perspective as a parent may be different, and there may be different at different times in her life as she gets older. But I would say one of the two biggest ones are, again, the developing that inner kind of voice that says, I can do this. This is difficult for me. And she was, I think, unlike perhaps Raha, she was one of those students who felt like she didn't have strength. It's not, I'm not a math person. And this idea that, to be good at mathematics, you have to be kind of gifted. Well, we have a lot of research now that shows that this is not the case. That a lot of it is how we teach mathematics, the culture that we have around mathematics within North America particularly. And so there's a lot that's being done to address that. But Linden has been really at, I think, the cutting edge of that as well, improving a sense of confidence and what we call in education self-efficacy, which is your belief that you can do it. Because if you believe that, if your little inner voice is telling you at age 10 that you can do it, then you will. And certainly she has. So she's now, again, as I was saying, in computer science and taking linear algebra. And this is a student who probably at, grade 5 would never have imagined that she'd be doing linear algebra in university, but she is. So I would say the confidence, the perseverance as well, to say, okay, that wasn't my best exam, but that's okay. Doesn't mean I'm going to drop out of calculus. I'm going to do better. I'm going to figure out with my teachers and my friends what I'm going to do better for the next test.
I think there's a wonderful continuum at Linden. It kind of starts with the community and, the warmth and the welcoming people, and, just how quickly people feel comfortable and safe. And from that place, confidence emerges, and then leadership, and then, the risk taking and the perseverance. And it all starts with that kind of wonderful foundation of community and people feeling safe and seen and respected.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'd like to call on everyone and ask about your fondest memory of Linden. Madigan, we'll start with you.
So as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I am going into neuroscience. And I have kind of been in love with the neuroscience field for a couple of years now. And, being able to share that in biology class was really nice. And so, having the teacher, or my biology teacher, we were supposed to dissect a kidney to kind of map out the urinary system. But then she asked me one day, she was like, would you prefer if I just, got a brain for you to dissect instead? And so, obviously I was like, well, that's a no-brainer,
good one.
brain. And so, then that happened. So I was able to dissect a brain, and I did it with, I don't know if I should be telling everybody this, but one of my friends at Linden, she skipped her class with the teacher's permission so that she could come and dissect it with me. And so that was kind of like one of those experiences where my teacher just kind of left us with this brain and all of the tools, and we were able to do, we had a checklist of certain things that we had to identify and write little answers on, but then after that, we were able to do whatever we wanted with the brain. And then for graduation, I asked if my teacher Amy could get me the brain in a jar, but unfortunately formaldehyde is toxic, and I would not be able to bring that home or to university in case of an accident. But that was probably one of my favorite memories, was just being able to share that with my peers outside of Linden and to kind of tell them that I already did this. And it was also nice because the people that I'm going to school with next year are really excited, because in third year we get to dissect a sheep brain, but I already did that in grade 12. So that's going to be my second time doing that, and I'll be able, I'll have a jump start, and I'll be able to educate other people on what to do with when you're dissecting a brain.
Wow. I think that really speaks to the lengths that the teachers will go to support the students in achieving their goals, whatever they, whether they are neuroscience or fine arts or anything in between. That's a beautiful example of that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little strange, I don't know. Raha, how about you? What's your favorite memory of Linden?
I have many, but I think this one also speaks to the lengths that teachers go, whether big or small. So I was like a huge eater in high school, probably like growing and all that. But like by second period math, I would be like done my lunch. And the point is that like a lot of the times, like my lunch needed like cutlery and stuff, and I often would forget it, obviously. And one day I was like looking around for like a plastic fork somewhere, and I asked Nazrin if she had one, and she was like, you know what, just take this like cutlery set that I have. It was like this very small like set. It had a fork, a knife, a spoon, a very nice blue handle. It fit perfectly in my lunchbox, and she just gave it to me. I was like, oh, like, do you want it back? She's like, no, dear, keep it. So I was able to like keep that for the rest of the year, tucked away in my lunchbox. I never went a day without, not being able to eat my lunch in the way that I wanted to. So I thought that was like very kind, very sweet. I still have the set. It still helps me with my lunches still. So that was something that has stayed with me.
Nazrin taught math at Linden for 23 years. So she's a very, very beloved member of the Linden community for sure. That's just one example of the many reasons that she's held in such esteem. Tara, what is your favorite memory of Linden?
It's interesting because I have so many hats that I've worn. I could look at it through the lens of a parent or someone, who works here. There's so many memories. I would say the biggest thing for me, whether it's as a parent or as an administrator or teacher here, is just the sheer joy in the community, the amount of laughter and genuine affection between the students. Like they're just very happy and very supportive. And so to come into a workplace where there is that much joy and laughter, whether it's the teacher's room with the students, I think just also that moment, late winter or early spring, when grade 12 students start getting their university admissions, and you hear these shrieks of joy, because in my day, an envelope came to your home. But now you get an email message that you could just check. So you could be anywhere in the building and their screaming kind of starts. And it's students finding out that they got into the university of their choice, or they got early admission to wherever, Waterloo or to Queen's or to Western. So that to me is actually very, very gratifying. It is a great memory. And I look forward to that time of year every year, when we get to share that happiness with students. So Madigan, that's very fresh in your your memory, I'm sure. So for me, definitely as someone who works with students, especially grade 12 students in preparation for university, that's one of my absolute favorite memories.
And Tara, you're going to be teaching the university preparation class to the grade 12s this coming year, I think, right? Which is
I will, yes. Yeah, and I do have strong links to post-secondary counselors because I've worked in the post-secondary sector as well. So that's one of the unique things that we can do in our guidance program is to really bring people from undergraduate expertise from undergraduate education into the Linden community so that parents have a real sense of what makes a healthy transition to post-secondary. So I look forward to that.
Is there anything else, any final thoughts, memories, anecdotes that, again, I'm going to call on everyone, to maybe share some final thoughts or memories. Madigan.
Yeah. I tell everybody this, but just, the friendship that I still have with my graduating class. I mean, we just graduated, but the friendship that we had from the beginning. This summer, I've gone on vacation with the girls from my graduating class. And, I'm going to continue to see them, even though not all of us are going to the same university. I'm probably, when we come home for winter break, they're going to be the first people that I see. And a lot of people or parents will often say that you really make your lifelong friends in university and that you never really stay friends with people from high school. But I know, I really can tell you with certainty that these girls that I have graduated with are going to be, the people to babysit my kids. I might even I'm living with one of them next year, and I think we're going to continue to live with each other for the rest of our lives. And so just knowing that I have those secure friendships and all of those memories with those girls where we can really just be our true selves and have educational conversations about the world together that began at Linden. And just to have all these amazing friendships that started at Linden the first day that, we all met, and then for them to grow and to continue to grow, and they're going to be growing for the rest of our lives.
Thank you, Madigan. That's lovely and very heartfelt and a very common theme that we hear from.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Raha, final thoughts?
I think I'll just echo what Madigan said as well. My best friend to this day is still someone I graduated with at Linden. We were together from grade 7 to 12. I actually knew her from grade 1 to 3 as well, but that primary friendship and connection kind of faded when she moved away, but it has been strong still. I know she'll be the maid of honor if I were to get married. She'll be the godmother of my children. She'll officiate that wedding as well because she can do that. But yeah, I think just the connections you make are very long lasting and very meaningful. And you know that you share the similar values with those friends that are impactful.
Thank you. Tara, what would you like to leave our guests with?
I have to say, yes, watching young women support each other, work through that difficult middle school stage, which doesn't matter where you are, it's just a challenging developmental stage, but to come through it with stronger friendships. And we know, again, I'm going to be a bit nerdy here and be an academic and say there is, again, a huge amount of research showing how important women's friendships are to each other, to our mental well-being, of course, for all people. But having a strong support network of women as you enter those challenging career years, if you decide to become a parent, all of that, navigating that, those are the people that really have your back, right? Are your women friends. So I think that this is, it's wonderful to hear this. So I would say, yes, watching these friendships flourish and watching it in my daughter too. So her best friend is also her best friend since grade 2 at Linden. They were both in grade 2 together, and they are still very, very close, that they're in different coasts and, you know, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's wonderful to see that continuity. So it's great to hear your stories too, Madigan and Raha. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Madigan and Rahla and Tara for sharing your reflections on Linden. I think you've given everyone, you know, just a wonderful window into our community. And if you would like to explore Linden further, please get in touch. If it is safe and permitted, we will offer some in-person events and tours of the school. But if we're still living with restrictions, we will continue to provide creative and effective ways for you to get to know us, such as virtual tours and connecting you with members of the Linden community, and hopefully even some outdoor events this fall. So thank you very much for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.